Hello, hello, everyone. How you doing? We are live. And we're talking about the full moon in Taurus. All right, this is the chart that I'm looking at because I'm old school and I print things. It's definitely got a theme, which we are going to be going over in the secret code name readings later. And you'll notice I've got some little like purple pen stuff in here, and those are different fixed stars that are actually being triggered. I know a lot of different astrologers are talking about 𝐤𝐴𝐿 being on Uranus, but there's more fixed stars than that. And if you look into them, you can really learn a lot. You know, I don't know how to pronounce all of them, so if I'm butchering star names, like star gods, forgive me. But I do not claim to be a pronunciation perfectionist. I just don't. Hey, Izzy. But 𝗁𝗏 is the fixed star that the moon is actually like dead on. You look at this. That's the actual degree of 𝗁𝗏, that fixed star. And it's within 6 seconds of it, the moon. And then we have this one right here, Aegina, who is right on the sun. And there's a lot of things going on with the different energies. I went down a little bit of a fixed star rabbit hole before I went live. And I think that those energies being tied into the full moon, it's showing where people are or aren't aligned, right? Where they are or aren't aligned with their highest good. 𝗁𝗏, if you look into it, I mean, given everybody, if you follow astrology, then you know that 𝐤𝐴𝐿 and Medusa are tied together in the mythos. It has a lot to do with off with your head kind of energy. But 𝗁𝗏 is more melancholic. It could feel like deep depression. And this unfortunate inability to pull yourself out of dark places, like mentally, people with planets near that star could actually dive real deep into unaliving ideation and stuff like that. So this star itself is quite depressing. And when you put the moon there emotionally, like that's a lot of what people could be feeling, you know, underneath the happy faces or trying to push forward or trying to get through things. Like there could be this real desire to just want to sleep through it, you know, feeling really tired and just not motivated to do anything. When you tie the other end of it with Aegina and the sun in Scorpio, Scorpio in and of itself has this deep mysticism, this magic attached to it, you know, past life things. And Aegina is actually tied to morality and high honor and health and things like that. And there's this desire to be better and maybe not knowing how to get there, right? This wanting to be in better health and not knowing how to do it, not being motivated to do it, knowing that there are certain choices that need to be made in honor of honor, right? And integrity, and not knowing or being motivated to do the things that you need to get done in order to do it, right? So you can let me know in the comments, whether you're watching it live or in the replay, if you've been feeling those kinds of energies, especially if you have placements around there or being challenged by those things, right? If you have it in square to your placements, if you have it, you know, placements in Leo or Aquarius, especially around 23 degrees, there are changes and revelations coming through with Uranus, as Uranus does. It's a planet of revelation and revolution. It's pulling people into this moody moon energy and really highlighting where you need to let go of certain character patterns or behavior patterns or personality flaws or behavioral flaws in your choice making, so that you can be reborn a more of yourself, right? Especially if you feel like you've lost a lot of your power along the way over the course of this lifetime, or even lifetimes leading up to this one, right? Kind of pulling you back into a past version of yourself where you were previously more empowered. And it's interesting because I kept hearing this song today in my head. It kept replaying sporadically all day. And it's like, this is the season of the witch. You know, it's that kind of vibe. It's that season of this kind of resurrected, outcasted self, where your power has been diminished since then, and maybe because of it, but not because it was your most powerless state, because it was your most powerful state. That was where your magic lied, in that version of yourself. And people in the mirror around you could not tolerate witnessing you being in your power, and teamed up to diminish it, right? We have Jupiter at 19 degrees Gemini retrograding in opposition to Mercury and Sag, right? And we did a little bit here on the channel talking about this detrimental energy that they're kind of depositing with each other. I think I did a community tab post on it. But it was this detrimental reception, right? They're in mutual reception with each other, being inside of each other's ruling signs, but they're in opposition. And what that brings, I think that a lot of people are coming to the realization that they just don't have it in them to keep fighting for things or hoping for things that are proving to be psychologically and or financially, if not both, damning. You know, if you think about Jupiter and Gemini in opposition, there's an integration going on, right? Whenever planets are in opposition, they're integrating something. And with them being in their detriment and in mutual reception, I kind of talked about how people can hope beyond reality, right? They hope and hope and hope and fingers crossed, when every single part of their soul knows that it's going to fail, that it's not going to happen, that the potential is not going to be reached. And then you also have these people that have the utmost of faith in whatever it is that they're after, despite nothing in the reality giving them any hope, right? This kind of contradiction of opposites. A comparison would be having, we'll talk about relationship dynamics real quick as an analogy, right? So that you guys can kind of understand it. Because if you've been in a twin flame dynamic, then I know you understand it. And if you haven't, but you've had like, you know, deep soulmate connections, you're still going to understand it. It's kind of like a relationship where one person wants to believe that the other is their divine counterpart, their perfect person, and they're hoping and hoping and hoping and hoping, despite all of the reality against them that says this is not your happy place, right? But they're hoping and they're waiting on potential, right? They see this person's potential if they could just love me the way they love other people, you know? But they're fingers crossed and hoping that someone reaches their potential and sees them for who they are. But everything in the reality is like a huge red flag, right? Their partner is actually psychologically, mentally, emotionally, financially, physically, whatever, abusive. But they're still hoping. And the other partner who knows, like they know, in complete faith that the person they are with is the best person for them, but they have no hope in the relationship whatsoever, despite the reality. It's like the narcissist and the empath. The empath is constantly rooting for the narcissist to become better, but the narcissist has no hope for the relationship to continue or be long-term whatsoever. No hope in being a better version of themselves for their empath. You know what I mean? They have all of this hope for other people, despite the reality against them. But they know, like they know, that the person that loves them wholly and truly and unconditionally, and has no hope to actually make the relationship a healthy one. So it's kind of like those conflicting energies where you have two radical different sides of the spectrum in general, you know, not just love and relationships, but in general. It could be same thing applied to work. You know, maybe an employee is hands down believing in their company and their boss and everything that it stands for, and they're doing their absolute best, and the company knows it. But there is no hope for that employee to ever move up or ever become a bigger part of the foundation that the company is building off of, you know, and they're just kind of leaving that employee who is phenomenal in the shadow. You know, leaving them in the dark, leaving them hung out to dry, letting them do their absolute fucking best until they can't take it anymore and they quit. You know, it's like, it's that kind of energy. It's just people realizing that they're investing in the wrong things, and or that they should have invested in the right things and they were in the wrong energy at the time. There's a lot of revelation going on in the reality. And if the reality is not aligned, there's no desire or drive to continue doing it, right? There is no desire or drive to keep doing it, no matter what the reality is for people, whether it's work related, family related, relationship related, friendship related, it doesn't matter. If it's got you questioning yourself and going to dark places, you really have to call on your inner power and your inner magic and remember who you were before this life or past lives started to diminish your strength. Who were you at your most powerful? Who were you dependent on? Probably no one. Who were you aligned with? Probably people that supported you. What were you doing with your life? Probably things that made you happy, you know, instead of bending over backwards for people and getting the shit end of the stick. You're probably involved with people that encouraged you and promoted your beauty instead of constantly tearing you down and making you feel like everything you do isn't good enough. Who were you before your power started to slip? Before you had this onslaught of experience that was not ready to witness strength, because they themselves were weak. And in their defense, not knowing how to strengthen themselves to be on your level, decided to bring you down to theirs. You know, we have a lot of this energy going on with the full moon, right? Which is why it is themed the audacity of suppression. That is the theme, right? The audacity of suppression. Like, how dare you try to weaken me and bring me down to your level when I was at my peak or in the middle of my greatest rise? Like, how dare you pull me down and have me believe, right, that I am not welcomed here in my power. It's no different than, you know, the quote unquote witches of the old days that were burned at the stake. I mean, if you think about it, we've got Chiron and Aries, right, with Eris. And Chiron is trining and sextiling on the Mercury-Jupiter opposition. And if you think about Chiron and Aries, it is the wounded masculine, right? It is the wounded masculine. With Eris there's a dash of chaos, and Eris is quincunxing on the sun. If you think about witches back in the day and how they were burned at the stake, from the perspective of men back in the day, where women were given away like property to other men to marry, and men were in control, and women were subservient and dependent on men in ways then that they're not now. If you were men back then and you were trying to control your wife and make her feel small and unwilling, you were unwilling to heal yourself or be a better version. You wanted a woman to need you to the point that she would tolerate abuse or disloyalty or all of that stuff. And she's witnessing a woman alone, without a man, off in the woods, making her own way, being connected with nature, making healing medicines for people. Men didn't want their women getting any ideas. They didn't want their women getting any ideas. They called it evil. They called it sorcery. They called it witchcraft. She was a menace. She was a menace because back then witches were solitary and they went at it alone, or they had a coven, right? They had a sisterhood where more than one woman got together with other women and was like, we are more powerful together and without men. If you think about everything going on in the collective energy and on the news media and women in general getting fed up with men and 4B and all that stuff, like, it starts to make you wonder how these energies are actually playing out in the 3D world of things. These astrological transits. There's a facet, especially because a lot of these planets are in feminine signs, right? Scorpio and Taurus are feminine. Pisces is feminine. Capricorn is feminine. You have a lot of these signs and planets working to heal certain facets of the self. And it's showing in the collective. In our personal realities, yes, women are coming into their power, especially with Venus in Capricorn. Capricorn is a CEO sign. Venus is divine feminine energy. It brings an element of stoicism to it. A lack of sentiment, right? No sentimental kind of holding on to things. Mercury is a free mind. It's thinking about the future. It's thinking about potential. It's thinking about long-term goals. And there are things in the way, right? And there are things in the way. Things that people have completely lost hope for. And things that people want to be inspired by and have faith in. And it's about the self. People want to feel inspired. People want to feel free. People want to feel like they can be self-sustaining in their own right and be authentic individuals and not feel like those intimidated by their power, intimidated by their authenticity, intimidated by their desire to be themselves. They don't want to feel like those people are going to try and diminish it. It's like, how dare you? This is who I am, right? We're seeing it. This is who I am. How dare you diminish me or dismiss me as if I am irrelevant or just something that you can control. There's rebellion, right? The Uranus and Taurus, it's rebellion. I feel as Pluto, which is direct now, gets closer to Aquarius over the next few days, it's going to transit, I think the 19th. I think Pluto transits the 19th or somewhere. It's somewhere this month. Pretty fucking sure it's within the next week. But with Pluto direct and moving into Aquarius, there's going to be this detachment from pyramidal power structures or hierarchies of power, where people once felt like they were being suppressed. There is going to be this radical shift into authenticity and the individual being unique inside the collective, right? Aquarius is a very authentic and unique rebel kind of sign. It doesn't follow the status quo. It doesn't follow the majority. If everybody's walking right, Aquarius walks left. It's like, well, let's see what's down this path. And with Pluto, the dichotomy of Pluto, right? On one end, Pluto is the reaper, but on the other end, it is the biggest powerhouse of transformational energy that you can ask for. It's like a power reserve that you can tap into at any time. And it's going into the sign of the collective, the sign of humanity, the sign of shared vibrational energy, right? As above and so below. Collective energy. There's going to be a massive shake when it comes to society and culture and the collective being what it is. You know, you can't suppress people forever. You can't. At some point, the scales tip. And I think that moving into the next several years, because I kind of was flash forwarding. I was in my Astro Gold app from today's full moon forward, flash forwarded all the way through 2030. And the different transits that are happening are kind of fucking wild. But when you look at the whole, there is such a rebellion within the self to go against all of these power structures that have been in place, truly suppressing people. The lies that suppress people, the deceit, the manipulation that suppresses people, the gaslighting that suppresses people, the delusion that suppresses people, the abuse that suppresses people. It's coming to a flip. It's coming to a flip. People cannot lie and cheat and steal and manipulate and suppress others like they did in the past and get away with it. They can't. Anything buried under there in the psyche of the collective is going to be brought up to the surface and reviewed and judged. Scorpionic energy is going to be reality that we witness, right? With all the earth sign energy, Pluto exiting Capricorn, the moon, Uranus, and Taurus. All of this is going to start to switch. There is a power coming back to people that they have been long separated from. The power has always been there. It's always been there. But it's been suppressed through lifetimes. And it's like the dam is being blown apart and all that power that was sitting behind the dam is rushing out. It's that kind of energy. with Venus squaring the nodes of fate and destiny in the sign of Capricorn, when it comes to matters of both love and money, which Venus rules, being tied to Libra and Taurus, sentiment really is out the door. Venus in Capricorn puts their feelings on a shelf and makes executive decisions. Am I going to move towards my higher self? Am I going to move towards my individuality? Move towards my personal rise, right? North Node in Aries. Or am I going to erase myself and go numb in past life dynamic ships to keep the peace, right? South Node in Libra. Am I going to rise even if it creates a shitstorm, even if other people start to give me hell, right? Because I'm trying to alleviate the spiritual burdens that I'm feeling. Are they going to go to war with me because I'm not doing what they want? And am I going to do it anyway? Am I going to do it anyway, right? North Node in Aries. Am I going to alleviate the burden anyway? Can they get pissed off all they want anyway? Like, can I not care? Or am I going to go numb? Am I going to go numb and pretend that I don't feel the way that I do and erase myself? That's the duality going on with the Venus nodal square. Am I going to be authentic and true to myself and find who I really am, right? Be the warrior of my life that wins these battles of self? Or am I going to succumb to the balance and feeling like I need to keep the peace and doing as I'm told? Because that's what's expected of me. Even if that means erasing my authentic path. That's the square that people are up against with Venus. With Venus being on the fixed star Pallas, Pallas is truly about feminine power. And with Venus being there, it is a very beneficial alignment, a very lucky or fortunate placement for women. For women. So if you just so happen to be a woman and are thinking about empowering yourself and getting out of these suppressive cycles with certain dynamic ships, this would be a great time. This would be a great time. Think about the integration that is going on with Mercury and Jupiter, needing to look in the mirror and realize that your potential is as great as the people you connect yourself to in the mirror. If someone is showing you a brutally shit version of themselves, an unhealed version of themselves, a lazy version of themselves, and quite frankly, a pathetic version of themselves, a cowardly version of themselves that they do not want to improve, you have to see your own potential beyond them. You have to see your own potential beyond them, or you will succumb to that mirror. It's going to feel like drudgery. It is going to feel like who you are is being chipped away at and erased. It's going to feel powerless the longer you continue in it, right? Mercury is going to retrograde across this opposition and go direct across this opposition with Jupiter 3 times. It's gone direct over it. It's going to retrograde over it, and it's going to pass it again 3 times. It's going to go through this opposition. Maybe you feel like you need to go and someone talks you into staying. Love bombs you, promises whatever, gets irate, whatever, and you stay. By the time Mercury goes direct and moves forward again, I think you're going to realize that staying was a fucking mistake and you just need to go. And that's for everybody, not just women, but everybody. Being diminished being verbally abused, being psychologically abused, being financially manipulated and abused, being physically abused. Do you really want to stay in that? Do you really want to feel diminished because you can't see the potential of yourself beyond the mirror that you've subjected yourself to, beyond the people in your immediate reality that make you feel the way that you do? Do you feel like you deserve the abuse? Because with this full moon in Taurus, there is, with Mars in Leo in opposition to Pluto, who is also going to, cross Pluto 3 times. It's been direct over it. It's going to retrograde in opposition to it a second time, go direct, and integrate that opposition for a third time. Mars integrating between the signs of Pluto being in Capricorn and Aquarius and it being in Cancer and Leo. How the fuck do I love myself? How the fuck do I empower myself in this society? How the fuck do I get out of these vicious cycles of pressure to be what everyone else envies me being? Envy. I have to have this life because other people envy it. I want to be the best and have the most picture-perfect reality because other people are jealous and envy it. But being inside that quote-unquote cookie-cutter picture-perfect reality is driving people fucking insane. It's driving them insane. Yeah, they might have the nice house, they might have the kids, the dogs, they're happy, whatever, on socials. But the reality of it, they might not be able to fucking stand each other. They might be eating all kinds of words and emotions because they don't see a way out with their person. They might be grossly unhappy. Mars in this transit is, how the fuck do I love myself? What does loving myself even look like? What does being the hero of my story even look like? How do I be the hero in my story when I'm going against everybody else's expectations of me? My family would be so disappointed if I left this person. They'd be so confused. They wouldn't even help me. My family wouldn't help me if I left this person. They'd think I was crazy. I'd be the villain. How the fuck do I love myself? Maybe you got to be the villain and say, fuck it. Because being their villain is being your own hero. Hey, Risa. Mars in Leo is asked power and wield it. You don't have all of this power reserved within yourself for no fucking reason. Use it. Use your power. It's your strength. Wield it. Be authentic. See the future that you want and go after it. Sever the things that are keeping you from being proud of yourself. Sever the things that are keeping you from being proud of yourself and loving your life. Whether it be people, places, habits, it doesn't matter. If it is keeping you from being proud of yourself, when you look in the mirror between you and you, if it is keeping you from seeing that beautiful potential in you from coming to be, sever it. Blow everybody's fucking mind. Do something radical for yourself. Change your reality. Jump into the unknown. I promise you, you will be surprised at what you manifest when you tap into that power that you have. That highest good power that you have. You have it. It's never been taken from you. It's been suppressed. It's been shoved down. People have attempted to diminish it and make it less than, but the power doesn't go away. It just builds pressure. It just builds pressure. At some point, that self is going to unleash itself. That beautiful self you've got in there. It can't stay suppressed without you absolutely dealing with that 𝗁𝗲𝗿, melancholy energy. No energy to do anything. 𝗁𝗲𝗿 on this moon in opposition to Agena on the sun in Scorpio. Honor your health and your soul's moral compass. Your soul knows if something feels good or something doesn't, if something is bringing peace or bringing you stress. Your soul knows if something is going to work out or if you're hoping against everything in the reality in your soul telling you it's not meant to be. Why prolong the release? Why? And feel that way? Feel that 𝗁𝗲𝗿 energy? Wishing it would all just end? Hoping you don't wake up? Because you don't want to deal with this life anymore and you don't know how to separate from it either? Or at least that's what you're telling yourself, that you don't know how to stop it. You don't know how to separate from it. Well, first you have to admit it. First you have to have the conversation with someone aligned in your highest good. You have to be willing to take guidance and advice from those unconditionally loving people and then follow through with self-loving actions to support your authenticity, to support your personal power and the discovery of yourself to heal the wounds. This full moon, people cannot continue like this. And trust me when I tell you there's all kinds of delusions about money and false promises about a future. Saturn and Pisces, the escapists that want control, are going to have you believe that there is a future possible with them that will never come to be. The mirror with them is a broken one. They are not healed. They're not trying to heal. They don't want you to heal. They want to take advantage of your brokenness. Be real aware of that. Saturn and Mercury, Mercury in opposition to Jupiter, Jupiter retrograding back towards a tighter opposition with Saturn, Saturn now direct. Pisces, Gemini, and Sag. It's all psychological. It's spiritual. It's mental. It's false promises of order and structure and dream. When the person trying to convince you of this beautiful future is broken as fuck and not capable of creating and manifesting such a future until they fucking heal. The kicker is they don't start to heal until you do. You don't start to heal until you leave that mirror, till you leave it behind. It all starts with you. Your life, yourself, the beauty and the power of you, and you saying, that's mine. That's my power. That's my beauty. I'm going to run with it. I'm going to empower my fucking self. I'm going to be my beautiful self. Fuck this mirror. Fuck the delusional lies. Fuck the promises. I want what's real. I want something real. And this reality isn't giving me anything to trust and believe in to create the future that I really want. So I'm going to go create it. It's not here. The future that I want is not here, and no amount of promises being made is going to lead me to believe that. I'm not gullible and stupid and ignorant. I know red flags when I see them. I know progress when I see it. This is all red flags and no progress. It's all false promises. I'm out. Right? I'm out. This is not all it's cracked up to be. And people are starting to wake up. People are starting to wake up. And they're definitely in a place of divine discomfort to get them there if they have to be. So, with that said, anything and anyone that would make you feel like you are suppressing yourself, how dare you, is the mantra. How dare you me to suppress myself for anything? How dare you? The audacity of suppression. That is the full moon in Taurus. With that, guys, I'm going to get ready for the secret code names. Hey, Kristen, how are you? I'm going to get ready for the secret code name readings. I will see you all in just a bit. Bye, everyone.